Up until now, in this series, whenever I used the color property, I used it alongside a color keyword. For example, in my index.html, I have this h1 element, and in my CSS, I'm giving it a color of red. This red value is a color keyword. If I remove it and press Ctrl-Shift on my keyboard, we see VS Code is displaying all of the color keywords we have at our disposal in CSS. At the bottom, we find the tomato color keyword. I'll select it, and when I save, we see our heading is now the color of a tomato. Apparently, I don't know, the tomatoes I get from the grocery store are usually more red. Now, in addition to color keywords, we can use more traditional color options. To the left of my tomato keyword, there is this little square box, and if I click on it, we see it opens this VS Code color picker where we can manually change our color. I can click anywhere up here to shuffle through the different color options. We see we have RGB, hex, HSL, HWB, lab, LCH, OKLAB, and OKLCH. That's a lot of options, but the most common ones are RGB and hex, with hex probably being the most popular one. You don't actually need to know how these options work to make use of them, because in practice, we can just use this color picker built into VS Code to pick our colors. Or alternatively, we could pick our colors from a palette we like on the internet. However, what is important to know about is that both RGBs and hex have a transparency option. For example, if our tomato color is currently being added by its hex value, I can lower the slider and we see it adds a transparency to our color, and 2 new numbers were added to our hex. Actually, I think most people aren't aware that hex values can have a transparency. Usually, transparency is more commonly added with RGB, and this is because adding transparency to RGB is actually very easy. I'll remove our hex and add in tomato again. I'll click on the square to open the color picker, and I'll shuffle through to get the RGB value. Adding transparency to RGB is very easy because all we need to do is add an A at the end of RGB so that it's RGBA, and then add a 4th argument within the parentheses. This 4th argument is the alpha value. Setting it to 0 makes it fully transparent, and setting it to 1 makes it fully visible. So if I set it to 0.5, it means we're setting it to 50% transparency.